Gwena is the most based politician in South Africa. Apparently, he lives in a place where the electricity works and the roads are clean and we have running water and the beaches in Durban don't actually have E. coli. In this happy place, he has come out and said that apparently Eskom is trying to agitate the overthrow of the state. Not sure what state he's living in, babe, but the state's already been overthrown.
It's actually quite remarkable because when Gwena was speaking at a conference somewhere, the actual quotes, and I'll put them up on screen for you, Eskom must attend to this problem. By not attending to load shedding, Eskom is agitating to overthrow the state. The ANC absolutely loves this line of thinking, right? And we know a few people in real life who have the same line of thinking, Byron, whereby any fuck-ups that you create is not your fault. It's because there's evil people somewhere that want you to go down. So for Gwede, it's not the ANC's fault that Eskom is broke. It's Eskom's fault. And because Eskom doesn't want to fix itself, it's basically threatening to overthrow ANC rule. That is the mindset of Gwede. And we can cry, because this is the nature of the ministers we have around us, or we can actually just laugh at him and be like,
remind me, but isn't it the ANC who has signed up to the European Union's bullshit green policy where basically we're not allowed to have any more coal power stations?
Yes, that is very true.
Yeah, so one actually has to ask the question, what would be the easiest and cheapest way for South Africa to fix its energy crisis? Given that we actually have a coal king saying, why aren't you fixing it? You'd assume that his party, the very people he claims to represent, would adopt a strategy whereby we build new coal power stations. But apparently that's not the case.
But Byron, we have. They're called Kusile and Madupi, and they're a complete nightmare because the ANC got a huge kickback to have them built. So I know quite a few engineers on Madupi and Kusile. So basically you got like a German boiler with a Japanese part that has to fit into a French part somewhere else. It was built basically to fail because the ANC just inflated the cost as much as possible. So they have tried to build coal power stations that just don't work very well.
Well, no, they tried to build two and then they put a moratorium on building any more. Now, if you actually look at the amount that they would have to have built, they would have basically have to have built two every 3 years in order to keep up with the electricity demand, but they built like two in 30 years. And those two, as we know, are now severely overcost and they don't actually work. Saw an interview the other day with an Eskom chap and he was basically saying the problem with the power stations at the moment is that the actual parts required to fix them aren't being purchased. His words, not mine, I'm quoting him, but he basically said that apparently South Africa is fixing its coal power stations with parts from Builders Warehouse.
Builders Warehouse to the rescue, the private sector once again. Sorry, boss, we're Kuba, we've got a breakdown. Let me just pop off to Micah quickly. Just Micah hardware, need a bit of duct tape, a bit of nuts and bolts, some screws. Then we're good to go.
And he said it, and he's like, hey, you can't just fix these things with like equipment from builders. He's, as you said, he's like, you know, there's the specialist equipment that comes from France, some bit comes from Germany, and then you're like, it's okay, the piece that connects it all, just buy from builders.
That's fantastic. It's not the only time Mantashe has complained about Eskom and load shedding, of course. Earlier this year in September, he says we need to stop complaining about load shedding because it's a global problem.
But the funny thing is, I know you're laughing, but the funny thing is it's actually true. Load shedding is becoming a global problem.
True, but ours is like 15 years old problem. For everyone else, it's like 6 months old problem. There's a huge difference between the two. Here in Africa, we have the Minister of Public Enterprises. He releases a press statement saying that he is shocked by state load shedding and that he's directed the Eskom board to meet and act with a great sense of urgency to ensure that the management of Eskom gets the country out of level 6 load shedding with immediate effect. Because, according to Pravin Gordhan, power cuts are having a devastating effect on households and livelihoods, investment, economic climate, and this is absolutely, completely unacceptable. This is the same turtle-faced communist who's been in power in the ANC for how many bloody years? The one who's completely blown out the budget as Minister of Finance, the one who refused to privatize any SOEs when they had the chance, the one who's completely fucked up the SAA deal to the private equity firm, and now he has the audacity to say that he is shocked by load shedding and he's asked Eskom to deal with it immediately. Where are these? Which planets? Which planets are these people living on? It's unbelievable. Just the shamelessness of it all. It really is. We shouldn't be surprised, but you just can't stop yourself.
No, but this is the ANC's way, though, isn't it? It's like, okay, I ordered you to do this with the utmost urgency. Then it's almost like they think their voters are stupid enough to go, oh, okay, that means it's fixed, yeah? But it's not. It's like, okay, you can order anybody to do whatever the freak you want, whilst still making sure that they lubricate the patronage network, while they're still paying corrupt tenders, whilst they're still keeping all your labor union buddies in jobs, even though they can't do the jobs they're supposedly doing. And then you're going, oh, but why didn't you fix it? And you're like, you can't ask the people that got us into this problem to fix it. Like that's the end of it. In the former Soviet Union, Chernobyl was commonly deemed the death of the Soviet Union. When Chernobyl blew up, a lot of people realized just how much of a failed state the Soviet Union was. It is now deemed to be one of the major causes for the decline of the Soviet Union.
By a huge margin. What annoys me the most is that when the chairman of the board, a black guy, came out and said, listen, maybe Eskom shouldn't have to deal with BEE in our supply chain because it's screwing us up and increasing costs. But the ANC came down on him like the Pala Pala scandal, saying that he's completely at fault. He's not allowed to say BEE is the cause of all the malice. And he's not allowed to say that ending BEE will help Eskom. So whenever they tell the board of Eskom to fix it, they're like, cool, we don't want BEE. Then they call them racists, despite the fact that they're black. Like, how are you going to fix anything if you don't take away the chief cancer that is causing the illness? But the ANC don't care, man. The ANC don't care.
Look, at the end of the day, the ANC can tell anybody to act with the utmost urgency whilst kneecapping them and stopping them from actually doing what they're meant to do. And just because you claim you told somebody to do something doesn't mean it gets done, guys. All these ANC ministers have got kids. I mean, surely they know how it works. You tell your kids, clean your room. Doesn't mean their room's clean, does it? It means they just went, yes, Dad, and then walked away and played on their PlayStation. Everybody knows how this works. So why are they expecting different results?
No, they're not. They're not. I'm not saying the ANC is correct or they're trying to do good stuff or they're trying to solve the issue, but they're just so blatantly hopeless in public. Like, that's what is really funny to me.
But seriously now, what are they actually going to say now? They're going to go, actually, our policy fucked up Eskom. We've had policy for the last 25 years. We did some really stupid stuff. We chucked out all the engineers that knew how the place ran. We stole all the money out of it. There's a significant amount of what we call ANC heartland voters that don't actually pay for Eskom. And because nobody's been paying Eskom hasn't been able to actually pay to get its fleet fixed. Oh, by the way, we don't actually have a fleet worth fixing because we didn't bother doing any maintenance on it because we stole the money. And even when we did pay a supplier, he came through and brought, parts from Builder's Warehouse. Like, what are they actually going to say? Oh, and by the way, please re-elect us in 2024. Sure thing, buddy. So as a result, they can't say any of that, even though that's actually the reality of what's happened. So instead, they have to find a scapegoat. And the scapegoat is, it's the Eskom board not trying hard enough. It's the YT sabotaging it, apartheid or, some bullshit story. But we all know what the ANC does. Blame someone else. At the end of the day, this is now 2022, and people are bored of the blame game. All they want is something fixed. They don't really care who does it anymore. They don't care why it gets done. They don't even care how much it costs. Just freaking fix it. And the problem is that the ANC can't fix it because you can't ask the people that caused the problem to fix the problem. So as a result, all it can do is say, well, we told people to fix it, and we don't know why they didn't.
Basically, as we end the video, why would Jan van Riebeck do this? Shame on him. Thanks for watching. Bye.